Tonight we're going to hear from some nice people. It's a joy to come here to the Square Chapel. I did a show at the other side of the building. I don't know if you're allowed to mention that. Last year in a wooden tent, which is another Yorkshire thing, isn't it? A wooden tent. It's not really. It's a shed, isn't it, really? I love that. You know, the Spiegel tents. It's a shed, isn't it? It's not a tent. I don't know why I did that. I love it. It was very Christmassy. And I know you're going to have a lovely time this Christmas. And thank you very much for inviting me. But to do the proceedings properly, are you ready, Nick? Would you please put your hands together? Welcome on stage, Nick Ahad, everybody.
Thank you very much. Lovely to be here. Lovely to see you all. I was going to try and be funny, but thanks, Justin. I think you've got that covered.
Well, I tried. It didn't really work, so thanks.
Are you supposed to do half an hour? What happened there?
It felt like half an hour to many of us.
It's lovely to have you here. Welcome to Halifax. Welcome to Yorkshire, as we like to say. You're coming here with your amazing show. That was a little taste of it, wasn't it?
Oh, it was about, yeah, a little bit of it, yeah. I joke about being Northern and Yorkshire. I did some jokes about, I know we're supposed to kind of, like, have this rivalry, Lancashire and Yorkshire, aren't we? But, I mean, Halifax, you're more or less in Lancashire anyway, aren't you?
Mate, you're going to lose them entirely.
Sorry, you're not almost, you just want to be. And, just joking, look. Listen, we've got the worst thing in the world coming on in a minute, Brexit. We're all divided. The last thing we need to do is bring back the War of the Roses. We don't need any more division. I did some jokes about Yorkshire once on the television, Halifax television. It's a square. No. And I did some jokes about Yorkshire on the television. Got death threats from Yorkshire.
And my mum says hello, by the way.
They were anonymous. How do I know they're from Yorkshire? No stamp.
It is lovely to have him with us. It really is.
Can I just try a very cheeky joke? It's a fact. It's not a joke. No, I don't know if I can. I don't know.
Do it.
I don't know. I'm not.
Do we want him to do it?
I used to do a routine about Doncaster International Airport, which for me is the three funniest words you'll ever put together. Doncaster International Airport. Have you heard of it, haven't you? It's called Robin Hood. And you can fly from Doncaster to Paris, Charles de Gaulle. Who's going on holiday from Donny to Paris? It's dear, isn't it? I've been to Paris. I've not seen Yorkshire dads walking down the Champs-Elysees. Kids crying, we're starving. Keep walking, we'll be home. We'll be home Tuesday. I'm starving now, Dad. I'm not paid £2 for flaky pastry. It's a croissant. It's not happening, that's what it is.
Maybe the people of Paris want to visit Doncaster.
That's the punchline of the joke you've just taken there, Nick.
I thought you'd finished.
No, it's called timing.
Comedy
Keep working.
What's the secret of comedy timing?
So the idea is, so if you can fly from Doncaster to Paris, it's clearly obvious then even to a simpleton that you can fly from Paris to Doncaster. And I just imagine that travel agent. I could just imagine whoever's selling them holidays is a genius. Some smart, chic Parisian couple walk into Thomas Lecoq. We are so bored of the Côte d'Azur. Where do you recommend pour a mini break? And he's like, have you considered Doncaster? I've been to Doncaster as well as Paris. It's not full of French dads in lemon jeans and backpacks going, où est la pâtisserie? Get in, Greggs. Try the steak bake. Get a cheese and onion pie, take the lid off. It's a quiche. Voila. So I used to joke about Doncaster being my second favourite Yorkshire airport. My favourite Yorkshire airport is Leeds Bradford, because I thought that was such a typical Yorkshire thing to save money on the word "and" on the sign. Leeds Bradford Airport, Leeds Bradford International Airport. And then someone told me, this is brilliant, this is a fact, and it's a bit chinky, but the reason why it's not called Leeds and Bradford International Airport, because if you spell that out, it says Labia. And no one wants to put that on a boarding card, do they? Welcome to Labia. I flew, this is true. I flew into Leeds Bradford International Airport once, and I went through passport control. And the bloke went, what are you doing here? I thought, this is not an official government policy. I said, I'm just coming back from holiday. He went, yeah, but why are you flying here? I said, I'm just coming. He said, you don't live round here. true. Anyway, sorry for being a bit rude.
You finished?
Anyway, we're nearly finished now, aren't we?
So here's the thing. The reason I'm here is to keep an eye on timing. Justin was going to run the whole night, but it'd just be this, and we've got quite a lot to get through. So what we're going to do, Justin, we're going to go sit down there for a minute, and you're going to watch a video of some of the season highlights.
You sound like my mum. You've been too giddy. We're going to sit down and watch some television for a bit.
No more pop for you. We're going to watch a little video of season highlights, and I've had a look at this. It looks amazing. And then we will, and Justin, in his own inimitable style, will go through the brochure. We'll look at some of our highlights, and we've got some very special guests here tonight. So without further ado, sit yourself down. A little taster of the coming season at Square Chapel. It looks fantastic, doesn't it? Doesn't that look great? There's some amazing highlights in there. We said we'd run this, by the way, like Graham Norton, so I'm Graham Norton. But you've decided to sit there, have you? You're going to move around as we go through the...
I'll move... Yeah, I didn't...
Right, okay.
It would have been odd to sit right next to you, wouldn't it? And then...
Go and sit next to...
There's lots of good things there. I like that lad in the black shirt. He looks all right.
I like the...
Lost some weight, hasn't he, him? Little bit.
I like the look of the chef show. I don't know if you noticed that.
I saw that, but it's on sale now. I mean, it's not in this brochure, so let's talk about things that are in this brochure.
Do you have any questions about the chef show that's not in the brochure?
Is it on sale?
It is on sale, isn't it? Yeah, it's
Excellent.
on sale. But I'm sure.
What's it about?
It's about an hour and a half.
Oh, good.
Hey,
and about 12 quid.
I think it's about that. It's thanks for asking, Justin. It's a play. It's a two-hander, so two actors, and they play something like 15, 16 characters, and they play all the characters in an Indian restaurant on a busy night. So they play the dad who runs it, the son who's a waiter. They play a couple on a date. They play a married couple. They're brilliant actors. We just won an award actually for the play.
Well done.
But the great thing about it is, wherever we go, we have a chef cooking live on stage. So we'll have a local chef cooking, so you'll get to smell the Indian restaurant as well. Oh. But it's not just about that. It's about some of the other highlights. I picked out Norman Lovett. You know Norman Lovett, don't you?
I've worked with him, yeah, in Edinburgh. He's, you know who he is, don't you? From Red Dwarf. He plays the computer. He's one of the incarnations of the computer, and he's very dour, isn't he? On that, and he's like that. You know, when someone's so, it becomes hilarious. He never breaks out of character. It's great. I mean, some of the comedy stuff there, you know, looks really good. I saw on the same page as me, I think the day after me, is the show about the NHS, the Mark Thomas show. That'll be good. If you've ever seen Mark Thomas, he's forensic in his research and the funny stuff. Mark Thomas is 54, the NHS is 70. So if Mark makes it to 84, the NHS will be 100. What will it look like? He's brilliant. I think he's sort of like understated one of Britain's national comic treasures, and I think that'd be well worth it.
Speaking of national comic treasures, on the same page, in fact on the opposite page, there's your tickets.
Yeah, we've done enough for mine.
No, but I heard you talking about something on the radio about job seekers can get cheap tickets.
I don't know, they do that here? All right, they do that. You have to be careful because
yeah, no,
well, basically,
I checked.
yeah. So essentially, if my tickets are about 15 quid, which I think is reasonable for a night out. But if you've not got a job, you're not paying 15 quid. No one's got 15 quid. So I just did a little thing, and it's Jeremy Hardy, who I've done the news quiz a few times, always does this. And if you've got a friend who's a job seeker and they want to come, it's a £5. And I think if your mate's not got a job, they haven't got enough money, but you'll buy him a ticket for a £5. Someone else will buy him a pint. You'll pick him up on the way, and he can have a free night out. And if you've not got a job, I don't know if you've ever been in a position where you've not had a job. Life's pretty dull, you know. And you know, come and look at me. You know, if I can make it, anyone can.
I heard that on the radio, and genuinely, I know you know you're a funny man, and you'd say throwaway things, but I thought that genuinely touched me.
Oh,
because everybody else thinks that's a lovely thing to do.
Yeah.
Yes. Correct.
Do you know what? It's nothing. Do you know, I never sell anywhere out anyway, so it's extra bums on seats. And when I say bums on seats, I'm not having to go at the unemployed.
If you turn to page 11, you can do this. You can play along if you like. David Baddiel's Annie Malcolm, is that how you say it? You know a bit about this as well, don't you?
Well, when I did my show in Edinburgh this year at the Fringe, they were in the same venue as me. If any of you have been to the Edinburgh Fringe, what's great is there are small rooms and the show's on every hour, little gap. And this show was on in my venue in the morning. And I like to go and see every show that's in my venue, see what it's like. And I have never seen kids smile like when they come out of this show. Like 5 to 10-year-olds, I think it's aimed at. And they come out, and it's a great thing when kids see see shows for the first time. Even lots of times we go to these things at the theatre and they go, there's enough in there for the mums and dads, and sometimes there isn't. It's just for the kids. But you can really you can enjoy watching your kids enjoying it, and then it gives them an interest into other things. So I would highly recommend that. Only on the reviews of children's laughter. Well, that's not a bad review, that one, is it?
Well, actually, as we're on the subject, there is a person in charge of all the young people's programming. I think we should get her to join us on the Graham Norton sofa. Where is she? I'm looking over there. Oh, here she is. It's Michaela O'Sullivan, ladies and gentlemen.
Can you sit yourself there, Michaela?
We're gonna keep swapping. We're playing musical chairs. We've got lots of special guests. When it comes to programming for children, Justin said this earlier on, actually, and it sometimes sounds like a naff thing to say, but it's so true, that if we get children now coming and loving theatre, they're the people that will be making and watching and writing theatre in the future, and I think that's really important. I assume, is that a worthy thing to say, Michaela, or do you think that's true?
Definitely, and we do a schools outreach programme as well, because we know lots of children don't go to theatre with their families for lots of different reasons. So we have a subsidised schools programme called Open Door, and that's always funded. We started it in 2009, and it's funded by the Andrew Lloyd Webber Foundation at the moment, and it is about making sure as many children as possible can come to the theatre with their school, and they pay £3 a ticket, and we do free tickets for teachers. And this season we've got the same shows for families as we have for schools. Whatever we programme for these school shows, they sell out, and we engage about 2,500 children a year. From Calderdale, so we're really committed to that programme, and it's about inspiring children from all different backgrounds to engage with the arts.
You must get that same thing that Justin was describing, where you get to come in here and hear children just having an amazing time at theatre.
Yeah.
What a beautiful thing to experience.
I make sure I watch them rather than watching the show, and I watch it through their eyes. It's the best job, really.
It's brilliant when you watch a kid not enjoying it, because they're very harsh critics. I know we have people in tonight, critics and everything, but you'll never beat a kid. I've seen some stand-up comedy for kids, and somebody will do a joke, it doesn't work, and they'll go, what was wrong with that? And they just go, wasn't funny. You've got a point, I'll work harder next time.
I've got a little sister who, she was 6 at the time. She came to see Chef Show, and I was really proud. It was really exciting. We were going to the theatre. I take her a lot, but this was the first time she'd seen one of my plays. And at the interval, she was really quiet at the interval. I said, do you like it? And she went, it's very boring. 4 stars in The Guardian, so what does she know?
More than The Guardian, it seems.
I'll tell you what, the teachers are really harsh as well. We ask for feedback after every show with the schools. It helps us modify the programme, improve it, but they are honest, and it's hard to take sometimes, but great when you get great feedback as well.
Well, tell us about some of the other things you've got for young people then.
Well, we've got Mimica Theatre coming back. They're on the cover, and page 9 in the brochure, I think, can't see without my glasses. They've got Small Worlds. They came here with landscapes about a year ago, and their show is inside a tent, like a canvas dome. It can fit 28 people inside, so it's a really intimate little show. It's wordless, it's non-verbal. They're really, really beautiful. They're a Leeds-based company. Their shows are beautiful, sensory, and generally about the world around us. So this one is called Small Worlds. It's about a small community, and it's from the viewpoint of a bug, a goose, a cat, a fox cub, I think, and a child. And I really, really recommend it. And last time we had their other show, Landscapes, it's sold out. So we've only got 56 tickets available for the family shows, and the school shows, we've got 1 school show left that hasn't sold out yet. So I would recommend it for adults and children. It's fantastic.
And as it's wordless, people from Lancashire will be able to enjoy it as well. Come on, you had to get one in.
There's a good one, actually. It was all right.
A quick rattle through, because we've got...
No, that was cracking. I like that one. I'll get him back in.
I made props, because my daughter's too old now, but when she was little, she definitely would have had these books. So we've got the author of the Dirty Bertie books, which is Alan MacDonald. He's coming to do some storytelling from his books. He'll teach the audience to draw Dirty Bertie, and it's a chance to meet him, get your book signed, and have a chat with the author. So it's brilliant. We've got him up from Nottingham. I think he's coming all the way up. And then we've got another Leeds-based company, Topsy Turvy Theatre with Christopher Nibble. It's a beautiful show. I went to see it in Leeds. They wouldn't let me book it without me going seeing it, which I always think is a good sign from a company. It's beautiful, and it's all about metamorphosis and caterpillars and butterflies, and it's got a brilliant song in it that gets in your head and you're singing it for the rest of the day, which is also a good thing. And then we have Annie Malcolm, which is based on David Baddiel's book, and I will book anything that Story Pocket Theatre do. I've never seen a bad show. They're just one of the best children's theatre companies. And we've also got their Christmas shows, and we've got the Nutcracker starting on the 16th of December here. We've still got a few tickets left for that, and we've got the Jolly Christmas Postman starting on the 23rd of December. That's almost sold out. It's by the same company, really high quality children's theatre, and really recommend it.
Well, look, it's amazing work that you're doing. I think it's just brilliant. So if you own young people or if you know young people, I think you need to book for this. It sounds wonderful. You've got something to hand out there?
Just audience, if you can pick up one of our school's programmes, or you can take it if you've got connections to a school, please take one. We've still got some availability for some of the shows, but they do sell out. So please see me at the end and you can pick one of these up.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you so much, Michaela O'Sullivan, ladies and gentlemen. No, you can keep that.
I'm keeping
You've got that. That's yours. That's safe. You keep that. I wanted to.
I've got worms. I haven't, clearly.
I wanted to mention something. It's on page 16. It's a work in progress. It's called Outrageous Fortune. Now, what I love about stuff like this is that you get to see theatre in its embryonic form. You can get involved in shaping it. And just from the little blurb that I read, it's basically about Gertrude, Hamlet's mother. And I love the idea of taking a minor character. Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead. Of course, Tom Stoppard did a brilliant job of that. So I'm really excited about this. Work in progress stuff. You've written for theatre, haven't you, Justin? Tell us about that moment when people come in and get involved there. He's written 2 JB shorts. It's an amazing thing in Manchester.
I've written a few things for different people, and I'm going to speak to Lisa in a bit, who puts words in people's heads, which is kind of a strange thing. When you do stand-up, you sort of write yourself and you kind of formulate it and everything else. But that trust thing of giving somebody your things and to do it, you're right. I remember the first thing I ever wrote properly, like serious, was an afternoon play for Radio 4, and they gave it and they did the read through and it was great, and they went to record it and they started doing it wrong, and I just walked in, you're doing it wrong, and apparently you're not allowed to do that. You have to let somebody else tell them. So it's interesting, and I'm sure this play does look good. I mean, you never know, do you? So it's a nice thing to do a work in progress thing or a table read of something, just to hear what it sounds like out loud, I suppose. The first time you hear it can be magical, but also the first time you hear it, you're going, oh, this is terrible. So it should be interesting. It's like 6 o'clock and a fiver. I mean, this sort of stuff is just on your doorstep, isn't it? It's what else are you going to do? Watch Pointless again? I think take Pointless and come here. That's my recommendation.
That's the thing about being there at that early stage. There's a show on the 9th of February, Justin Moorhouse, Northern Joker. It's really polished. He's been working on this a long time. But for me, I love seeing, particularly stand-ups as well, when you're trying out stuff. Yeah. Because that's exciting for the audience, but that must be terrifying for you when you first get up and try something that you've no idea if it's going to work.
I mean, it's terrifying every night because it changes every night and different audiences and everything. But yeah, I think that's the beauty of it. I think when you go and see stand-up, it's kind of exciting. It's thrilling, isn't it? It's tightrope stuff. Hopefully it is. But so I think it's more exciting because I can step out and I can just mess about, obviously. But to do something as important as that, then I think that's, for me, I'm glad you pointed that out to me. I might even come myself. Who's coming? Let's meet for drinks. Let's go for a curry. Do you know anybody who can cook for us and do a show around us?
Come see the chef show. You'll get a curry for free. Yeah. There's something else actually that's kind of in the same area. It's on page 22. It's called The Netherlands. It's by a new company. Some of you may or may not know. There's a guy called Ian Bloomfield who ran Theatre in the Mill in Bradford, and he changed the Yorkshire theatre scene in a really quiet, understated way. He was there for 10 years. He's an amazing theatre theatre maker, and he's just launched his own new company. It's called 2 Ton, and there's a piece called The Netherlands, and it's about, as far as I understand it, I've spoken to him a bit, it's about having a disabled child, and it's just, if it's anything like the work that Ian normally makes, it will be beautiful and layered and fascinating. It'll do the thing that theatre should do, which is really make you think. Have I convinced you, Justin?
Yeah, it sounds lovely, actually, doesn't it? It says, imagine I always went to visit Italy, the country of your dreams. You've saved for months, read the guidebooks, only to be told on landing that you're in the Netherlands. I suppose that's a metaphor, isn't it?
I think it's one of them metaphors.
Yeah, I think it's that.
Yeah.
Because you know what the Netherlands means, don't you? It means everything down there, doesn't it? That's what it actually means. Those are your Netherlands. That's true. That is true. Nether regions, all right, sorry. Well, some girls are bigger than others, aren't they?
I think I'm going to invite someone on stage really quickly before this descends any further than the
lower than the Netherlands.
So one of the people, this place is beautiful. I love this theatre. I think it's an amazing venue. I say theatre, it's a venue really. It's run by some incredible people. Sofia, who some of you may know, does an amazing job. But one of the people who programmes this place is called Ali Ford. I'd like to invite her on stage now. Ladies and gentlemen, Ali Ford!
Thank you. Sophia told me we might be short on time tonight, and now I know why.
Yeah. But it's all good quality. It's good stuff.
Getting your money's worth.
It's good stuff.
Free.
We do have
free. It's all free.
One of the guests to get up as well. So we're going to rattle through this. Ali, I've mentioned some of my highlights. I was going to say if you could only buy a ticket for one thing, but that's kind of unfair. Yeah. But although there's a message from someone who actually runs this place, and he does recommend something. It's neither Justin Moorhouse nor Chef Show, so we might not play that video. What would you recommend we come and see?
One thing.
No, let's go as many as you like.
So on my list of highlights is Carol Ann Duffy, who is, many of you will know, is a patron of ours. She's also Poet Laureate, and she's absolutely brilliant. She's wicked with her words. She's dry, she's witty, and she's going to be reading some of her poems, or performing some of her poems from her latest collection, alongside her Laureate's Choice poets, Keith Hudson, who is what we describe as our poet in residence, and Mark Pajak as well. So that's going to be a great evening for anyone that was at the last one. They'll know that it'll be absolutely brilliant.
And you mentioned Carol Ann Duffy. You said something nice about her off stage. You said she's been very nice about you.
Well, that's positive.
Did I?
I think you did. Yeah.
You said something nice about
They're
Carol
very
Duffy.
Good friends.
Brilliant.
They go way back, Justin and Carol Ann. Did you not?
It wasn't me.
Was it not?
No, I have nothing against her. Now I feel like I have to say something about her.
Oh, you did.
Oh no, she's brilliant.
Yeah.
I'd also highly recommend Mark Thomas, which you've already mentioned, but check up our NHS at 70 is Mark's latest show that was an absolute smash hit at the Fringe this year. It's an examination of our NHS at 70. He's done a series of interviews with experts and medical professionals within the NHS, and it asks questions like, where are we now, what are we doing wrong, and what can we do better? So that will be a brilliant show. I'd also just like to mention our Pay What You Can season, which, going back to Justin's comments about making sure that people can access ticket prices who maybe are unemployed or otherwise. We've got a brilliant Pay What You Can season, which is all about making new work really accessible for people. So it's often work without a familiar title. It's often work that is quite experimental in form, and it just removes that level of risk for people. So regardless of your personal financial circumstances, you can choose to pay anything between £1 and £20 for a ticket. You pay that in advance, so it's purely about accessibility and affordability, rather than sort of asking you to judge the quality of the work, which I think is sort of dangerous ground, really. And what we also encourage is for people that can afford to pay a little bit more, that they maybe do, and that subsidises the ticket cost for somebody that genuinely can only afford to pay £1 or £2.
I think there's a couple of working class northerners who were dragged up. That's, for me, theatre was a thing that other posh people did. And I love that it was a school thing that got me into theatre, actually, and now I write plays. I imagine for you, it's genuinely really important to me that everyone gets access to this. I imagine that's something that's important to you as well.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I was brought up in a kind of environment where we went to the theatre once every couple of years, and it was to a massive musical that we didn't really like very much. I remember seeing, I think it was Jesus Christ. I think it was Jesus Christ Superstar. There was some whipping in it, and some songs and everything, and then the panto or something like that. So now, I encourage my kids to see different things, and I think exposing people to lots of different things gives you a taste of it. And there's nothing wrong with coming seeing something, trying it, and not liking it.
Yeah.
We'd be liars if we sat here and said everything in this brochure is brilliant for everybody, because there'll be something. I mean, there's a way I didn't get laughter off one or two of you know names, madam. I don't think you should come to my show, but not everything's for everybody, is it? So
yeah,
it's good.
Really.
Pay what you can's great.
Yeah, it removes that level of risk. It encourages people to try out new work, and we've got a brilliant season ahead. And it puts new voices on stage as well, and a really diverse range of voices, which is important. So we've got Wild, which you saw in the film, which aims to tell a new story about birth, and a story that you don't often hear from sort of medical professionals.
Was that the lady doing weird things in the stairway? Yeah, that caught my eye.
So it's made by two artists, Laura Mugridge, who is a professional birth and postnatal doula, she and an artist, alongside Katie Villa, who suffered postnatal illness, and they are aiming to rewrite the story of birth, really, and reclaim it and celebrate the joys and the highs and the lows, and just talk about it in a different way and use a different language, and that is going to be brilliant. We've also got Gypsy Queen, which is an LGBT love story without sort of cliche or pastiche, that kind of really highlights the toxic masculinity that surrounds the world of professional sport and boxing in particular. So there's been a lot of sort of homophobic slur by boxers that are very much in the public eye, like Manny Pacquiao, Tyson Fury, Floyd Mayweather, and it's about sort of challenging that stereotype, and it's the sterling performances by the cast of two, and it'll be well worth a watch.
That sounds amazing. I'm going to get our next guest up, and we can keep talking.
Okay.
Don't worry, you're going to stay there, because she's a good friend of mine, actually, and I'm really delighted that she's here. Justin's already mentioned her, and he shoved in over. That's how important this lady is. Ladies and gentlemen, Lisa Holdsworth. Right, this could be really embarrassing, but I'm going to try it anyway. Does anybody know my radio show? Thank God for that. Okay, so I do a radio show on BBC Radio Leeds called Little Nick's Big Show. It's every Saturday from 9 o'clock, and we have a TV expert that comes in every week. She's called Lisa Holdsworth, and we do a funny little thing. We've never actually written it down. We've never done this. Do you want to try and do it live?
Are you starting?
Yeah, I'll start. So Lisa is very qualified to talk about TV because she's written for most of the shows that you know of. In fact, she began writing Fat Friends, and then she wrote...
Emmerdale.
And then she wrote New Tricks.
And then I wrote Robin Hood.
And then she wrote Waterloo Road.
Then Midsummer Murders.
And then she went to Ackley Bridge.
And finishing with Call the Midwife.
But of course, she's most famous for killing Martine McCutcheon with a giant piece of cheese. If you don't know that episode, that's really weird. You kill Martine McCutcheon with some cheese. Tell us about that real quick.
Oh, that poor Martine. So I wrote the first episode of Midsummer Murders I ever wrote. Martine McCutcheon was cast in it, and you do a table read. You all sit round the table. And she was sat there ready for her debut in Midsummer Murders. She's dead in the first 2 pages, basically beaten to death with a giant cheese. And then not long after that, she unfortunately, I feel very sorry for her, went bankrupt. And every news story about it went, Martine McCutcheon, last seen being killed with a giant piece of cheese on Midsummer Murders.
Claim to fame, though. You've just finished writing. Does anyone know a little show called Call the Midwife? So Lisa's been writing on that, and you actually saw the Christmas special a couple of weeks ago. So who dies in it?
London for it though, but it is a 3. I'm not allowed to tell you anything. Absolutely.
Is it about midwives?
Yeah.
Is it set in London?
I've said too much.
Any nuns?
No, I can tell you, but I'd have to kill you.
Oh, I love nuns. Nuns and Midwives, my favourite.
All I can promise you, if you watch it, you will cry. I was trying to be quite professional in the screening. Had to go to the loo immediately afterwards to wash my face. It's a real three-hanky job. So very good.
Well, look, those are our credentials. I don't think we need to say anymore. Let's talk about your new play, Unsung. So you started writing for theatre. You thought you'd conquered the TV world. You thought you'd take over theatre. Unsung's something that you've been working on for a little while, isn't it?
Actually, I think it was sort of this time last year we did a little showing of it. So it's a show about the unsung women of history for women. And the actors themselves chose the women they wanted to talk about. And I went to a very early sharing of the show by the company, and there was a Q&A afterwards, as there often is, and I gave my opinion, as I often do, and I loved it, but I had some thoughts about it, and basically afterwards I got an email to say, do you want to write it then? I don't think it was in that tone of voice, and I cannot talk too highly about the young women who run the company. They are just the loveliest women. I'd never worked in the way they work before, which is basically in a drafty room in Halifax, playing games, doing research, coming up with ideas. And I must admit, I was a bit nervous at first. It was really out of my comfort zone. They are now some of my best friends. I think they're amazing people, and I'm really proud of what we've written. So it goes into rehearsal in the new year, and I can't wait to see what we do with it.
I'm really excited about this. I love so I've seen a couple of your plays, but the rugby play was just full of, if you know Lisa's writing from any of those shows that I mentioned, it's full of heart and it's funny and it's just beautiful. This is a massive segue, right, Justin? But as Lisa was talking about in drafty rooms and working in Halifax and early on, have you had any horrific gigs very early on that you wanted to? I'd like to know.
In one ear.
Just then.
A few years ago. No, I think, yeah, I mean, sometimes you have bad gigs and everything else. Sometimes you have, sometimes it's not your fault. Often it is. I heard a great one. Comics love sharing bad luck stories, that kind of thing. My friend, John Thompson, who's in Cold Feet, and he said he was doing some stand-up about 10, 15 years ago. It wasn't going well. And he's just doing it, and you can see when a stand-up's not enjoying himself. And the bloke just stood up slowly and went, "Where's this going, mate? Where's this going?" But the best ever heckle I've ever heard is a guy's dying on his backside in Edinburgh. Empty, nothing. The worst thing is silence. You like people chipping in, then you can go off on a different tangent. Silence. One bloke leans to another, went, "Used to be a pool table in here." So it's so nice to get out and do theatres. Even if 50 people come, they all come for you. Yeah. You could be in a room full of 200 people and they're just like, they don't want to know you. You're just secondary to it.
So it just made me think, when you were talking about working early on, how... what does it mean to you to get to see your work on stage? Because for the most part, millions of people watch your work, but they watch it on the box at home. For you to be in there with the audience, what's that like?
It's not just seeing it on stage, it's seeing it on stage where I grew up. So I'm from Leeds originally, but I actually lived in Halifax for a little while, went to Whalley Road infant school for a little bit. And so seeing an audience I genuinely care about, who are exacting, they're big critics, a Yorkshire audience, and if you can get a good reaction out of them, it is incredible. So I'm nervous but excited about something of mine being on at the Square Chapel, because I think you're a lovely audience, you're engaged with your area, there's a real loyalty, and I think there's very few other places where you get that.
March the 7th, the ticket's available now. I will let you chip in now, Ali. I know you had something else that you wanted to mention.
I mean, I've got like 100 other things. But I will just say that Unsung is brilliant, and I've been lucky enough to have an in on that kind of process as well. And in fact, some of the video that you saw was filmed here in our Copper studio, because you did some R&D here, didn't you? Yeah. And it is a celebration of 4 women. It's been narrowed down to 4 now.
Some you may have heard of, some you will definitely not have heard of. Women who broke new ground in the military, in education, in writing. Andrea Dunbar is one of our characters, and she seems to figure very largely in my life at the moment. So I promise you, it's not a lecture. That was what we set out. Absolutely the opposite to do. It will be an entertaining night that will send you away with some fab facts to tell your friends.
Absolutely, and that is also part of our Pay What You Can season. So that's the third in the Pay What You Can season. We've got loads of brilliant music. We've got returning visits from people like Voodoo Room and Snake Davis, Roger Davis, and then we've got Parasol Peak. We've got the Orchestra of Square Chapel. We've got Jez Lowe. We've got Toya Wilcox. We've got loads of cool stuff on, and more to be announced as well, I think. And yeah, the outrageous fortune sharing is going to be brilliant and really, really important for the artists to invite audiences in at that stage. Debs Newbold, if you've seen her before doing either retellings of her Shakespeare stories or otherwise, she's absolutely fantastic. She's a rebel. She's a feminist. She's a Brummie. She's incredible, and she's written an original parallel narrative that sits on top of the Hamlet as we know it, and is told from the perspective of Gertrude, his mother, who is so often sidelined in regular stagings of the play. So that's going to be really exciting.
I love your passion. You're basically just saying everything.
Come to everything.
Justin.
From that to Eddie the Eagle.
Yeah.
The Eddie Eagle film. I saw it. I thought, I don't know what, and it wasn't my choice. We'd had a family meeting, and it wasn't my choice. And we started watching it. It's a dead funny film. It's better than you think it's going to be. And the fact that he's going to be here as well. I know some friends of mine who've worked with him on the after dinner circuit and the motivational speaker. He is an incredible bloke. Often maligned, a bit like Gertrude. Much maligned. I mean, clearly not as seriously, but he's real. And I think his story. I think it'll be fascinating to watch that film with him and then hear him speak afterwards. There's loads of stuff going on. I wish I lived in Halifax.
Most people from Lancashire do wish they lived this side of the border.
I set them up.
I do think the fact that Eddie the Eagle is going to be here is just amazing. If anyone, is he on Twitter? Because I think he'd like the quote from Justin that he's reminds me of Gertrude from Hamlet. He put that all over his posters. I think the really simple thing to say is there's something. It's such a cheesy line.
Don't do it then.
There's something for everyone at the Square Chapel. Well, there really is. This is going to be extraordinary. I think if he hasn't sold out yet, which I imagine he will have done very soon, you need to get tickets for Justin because he's brilliant. What a man. He's actually nicer off stage than he is on.
I'll tell you what I will do. If you want to come to my show, if anybody does buy a ticket for my show, I'm doing free Christmas cards. I'm desperate to sell tickets. No, but if you're thinking about buying Christmas presents out of this brochure for your friends, and you buy one for me and let me know via my website, I will do your free personalised Christmas card. I'll come to your house. I'll pick you up. I'll pick you up. Come to the show. Don't ask me what time it'll start. I'll say, what time can you make it?
Lisa, you're going to put a minibus on for Unsung?
Yeah, I'll run around and get everybody. Or I'll buy you all a Yorkshire Rider, it's fine.
Listen, you have got 10 seconds. I'm going to let you do this, okay? 30 stories. You've got 10 seconds.
Oh, God, 30 Stories of Square Chapel is a project in celebration of 30 years as being an entity, as a building. We're going to be collecting photographs and stories of 30 people that kind of summarise who we are, what we're about, and what is really important to us. It's going to be an exhibition of photographs and stories, and we are going to be looking for supporters of that as well, so businesses and individuals who can support that project in some way to bring it to life.
That was 20 seconds. The man who runs this place, David McQuillan, isn't here, which is a bit rubbish, really. It's because this place is up for an award tonight, so he's down in London, possibly, we're not sure if he will, but he's down at the awards ceremony. It's been shortlisted for an award, completely rightly so. That's why David's not here, so we're going to finish with a message from David. There are then some artist messages, and then, as you leave, because that will be the end, there's a little surprise waiting for you as well. Can I ask you to join me in thanking, all the guests we've had up here, particularly Ali Ford, Lisa Holdsworth, and Justin Moorhouse, ladies and gentlemen.